Okay, turn your microphones on, anyone. Or whoever. Alright. Okay, I call this meeting to order. I apologize for the delay in our start, but we're starting now, so if we'll all rise and... Sam, would you have our prayer, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight to say thank you once again for absolutely beautiful weather. Thank you for your love and mercy and grace may lead to us today. Father God, we ask you to continue to draw us closer together through your Spirit. Help us work with one another. We've got a lot to talk about, and we just need to continue to bring this community together. So we ask for your favor in this, Father. Please forgive us where we fail you. Watch over each and every one of us. Forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you've not already done so, please sign in. All right, Council, you have your minutes in front of you. Hopefully you've looked over them beforehand. The only correction I saw was, let's see, where's that? On the second page, instead of PW, it's BW for the design of the firm. That's all I found. Anybody else?
Yeah, I read them. I make a motion we accept the minutes as presented with the section, what was it called?
It was written as PW, but it's BW.
Okay, accept that correction. I'll second it.
Motion made by Nick, seconded by Daniel. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion carried. All right, moving on, financial reports. Sheila?
To come out in front of you with the current month's balance. There's only a couple that are running in the red, and one of them is grant. We're still working on the 5200 series. We are down to $87,000 today. So we're getting some ground on that one, still working with Loud on the changeover. Not really anything different from the budget hearings, so we're doing good.
If I have any comments on any questions?
Thank you, Sheila.
All right. Okay, I hereby open the public hearing for additional appropriations. So is it just the one, contract services? All right. 40,558.44. Does the public have anything that they would like to say?
So on we talked at the last meeting about this. We thought that maybe some, like the current Axon contract has been paid out of the budget. And so here we are with the next one, but how short are we? Or I guess the question is, Sheriff, why are we asking for more money if we already have money allocated, potentially have money allocated to go towards this kind of expense?
Nancy, what was the appropriation on that one?
This one is 40,000, 40-something thousand?
That's the first year.
Okay.
That's the first year of the new contract for.
And what did we previously, like in the, how much?
That starts on 14.
No, I guess the question is for 2025, or the last year of the last contract, how much was that?
That one, I don't know, I did not sign that contract.
Okay, okay. Because if we already budgeted, let's say 30, and this is 40-something, then we only need to appropriate 10,000. You see where I'm going with that? So if we were to approve this tonight, Sheila, if we don't need it, I mean, will you be able to double check that then? And then only end up using what we actually need to use?
So in the prior, and I'm trying to bring it up on your screens for you, in the prior years, there were donations from the prosecutor's office and a couple other places donated toward it and used their funds. It's never been asked for as a whole out of the fund.
Okay. So in the past, it was kind of a variety of sources to get it kickstarted, essentially. Okay. Okay.
So there in 24, you can see there were different things paid to them on different things. There was cameras and has taser certifications and those kinds of things and the various amounts that were paid. We can monitor it. I can put it on monthly or quarterly expenses. Again, if you're gonna pay it all at once for the first year, then there's really not anything to monitor, other than if other funds can go toward it, then that could be documented. But if you approve it, you're agreeing to pay the whole year.
So in the budget for '26, we put 40,000 in contract services.
Right.
And that's,
That's
this,
the first
this,
year of the new contract.
okay, or year 2.
New contract starts this month on the 14th.
Right, so we're paying for it out of 25, and we're gonna use this additional appropriation. What I'm talking about is in 2026, when we set your budget, we're gonna need year 2 of that contract, right? And so,
it goes up.
yeah, it goes up a little bit each year. Right now, we had put 40,000 in contract services for '26. But this is not the only contract that you're, paying for out of contract services. So I don't think that 40 is enough then, if we're gonna be considering this and your other obligations. So are we gonna need to increase the contract services line in the '26 budget?
For this contract, we agreed that it was coming out of 1170 for the funds that was appropriated by the state. That was the 300 and
The excess, the cash.
579 I think we got.
Right,
That's where this contract was gonna be paid out of, that first year.
okay.
So we put that into 1170, so we should be paying out of 1170 for this one. I think we dumped it into contract services for this contract.
Yes, but for '26 though, is what we budgeted gonna be enough though?
For that one,
Okay. What about the rest of the contract services? Because you have other things besides Axon that you're paying for,
I
right?
do. Some of those contracts are paid, they're self-absorbed through, Kelwell and whatnot, that comes out of commissary.
Okay.
Um,
Just want to make sure we're not short for '26 if we know that this is gonna be, due again.
We won't be short, we may have to move it from the 1170.
Okay.
If you notice on the screen in front of you, everything has been paid out of the 20700, which is the equipment line item. So you can compare to see what is in his equipment line item as well.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we appropriate the request out of Fund 1170.
Motion made by Anton, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Joe. Any other questions on this? All those in favor? Motion carried. Okay, I hereby close the public hearing. All right. Moving on to old business, jail project review.
Thank you. Continuing on with our conversation from last time, I have refined the analysis of public safety, or all the income tax analysis, because we have, last time I was down, the DLGF had not yet allocated those to the different pools. There was just an amount that was certified from the state budget agency. The other thing I did was I went back to make sure that you did or didn't have any obligations against your current lit. Being that when you financed your PSAP building, you know, I went back and I actually found the paperwork that went with that. So you pledged the PSAP lit toward that debt service, and it should be paid off at the end of '27. So if you look at the first column in this analysis, it shows you for 25 and 26 the base amounts that you are scheduled to receive according to the DLGF. Does not include a supplemental distribution, which you may or may not have gotten in May, and you may or may not get in the following May of 26 and 27. But that shows you in 25 you had about 9.2 million. Your income tax distribution and collections are up good, like 7.61%. Distribution for 2026 is approximately 9.97 million. So what I did in the middle column was look at, okay, what is it that you're looking for and using that money for in operations? Because as we talked about last time, the original concept of funding the jail was going to be purely income tax. Well, now because of what the legislature has done and your income tax pledge after 2027 is now not a good pledge, because every year you're going to have to meet and reaffirm that you want this much income tax. The markets are not going to like that, so everything's basically going to have to go to a security of property tax. But you can still keep it from going on the property tax rolls by paying it with your income tax. The standard to do that and have the property tax as a security is we need to be able to reassure bond counsel that you can actually generate enough income tax to make these payments so that they have every expectation that it won't go to the property tax rolls. That will keep you from going through that process that potentially ends up in referendum. If you go through the normal property tax procedures and you draw a petition of enough voters or property taxpayers, it potentially could go on the ballot on a referenda. You'd have to wait till like November of 26. So that middle column available for operations is to try and prove to bond counsel that you have every reasonable expectation that you can make these payments and continue to operate as an entity. The third column in there, the allocated for jail project and debt service, shows what you did in 25. You had a $300,000 appropriation from your public safety lit fund. You really paid or are scheduled to pay $101,532 from your PSAP lit. Your jail lit, you've been accumulating, so we talked about last time you'll have about $4 million available to apply toward the project at the end of this year. But that amount in 2025 is $1,017,811. So for 2025, you've got about $1.4 million available for that. for the debt service. In assuming that we would actually get bonds issued sometime close to the end of this year, beginning of next year, we can go ahead and start making payments in 2026. You have your income tax revenue streams established, so you would have that money coming in. The alternative to that, as we've talked about before, is capitalizing interest, which means basically you borrow the money to pay the bondholders during the construction period, and then you pay interest on the interest that you borrowed. So we always try and avoid that if possible. I think that can be avoided, and I think using this building in its equity position for the lease will allow you not to have to borrow that interest. So if we go into 2026 and we need to make that payment, we believe the payment for that project, based on the numbers that we've talked about and the $4 million contribution, would be approximately $2,115,000 a year. So in 26, I split that between the amount that will come into the jail lit fund, which would be $1,095,281, and taking the remainder from the public safety lit fund, which would be like $1,019,719. Again, your appropriation that you don't spend or have applied toward the jail project will help fund that amount. So in 2026, in the middle column, I'm showing you would have about $7,753,000 available for operations, down from 7.8 million, but still not very far. 2027, I didn't assume any growth. So it's the same scenario there. Splitting the jail payment between the correctional facility jail lit fund and the public safety lit fund, and your final payment on your PSAP lit. When we get to, again, 2028, whatever you have in place today for income taxes go away at the end of 27. You can't continue anything. Based on the way the law is written today, all those go away. And between July 1 of 27 and October 1 of 27, you're going to make this decision as to what your new income tax stream looks like. What you have available to you, based on the way the law is written today, is you can impose 1.2% countywide and keep all of that money for the county for your operations and your jail project. You can also impose another 1.2% countywide for cities and towns below 3,500, which are all in your county. And you can retain 75% of that amount. And that is what we're showing here in the first column, $11.5 million. So you would go from today, your total income tax distributions you're expecting are just under 10, you're going to 11.5. So you're picking up a little over $1.5 million a year. Of that, still making that same payment of $2,115,000, because it'll be a level payment for 20 years out. That would give you $9,385,000 in lit available for operations. So between 27 and 28, that's about $1.5 million increase. So with that, I think you should be able to address any of your operating needs, potential sharing with other units of government to help make them whole based on how they come out of Senate Bill 1. And I think you can potentially start to put money aside so that you can shorten this amortization schedule from 20 years and maybe shorten it a few years off if you wanted to get back to 18, 17, 16, somewhere in there. You could start to put that money back. I have actually vetted this exact worksheet with bond counsel and walked him through all the math to make him comfortable that they're good with that. So I think you have a live plan of finance as to how you can get from here to there. This is the way the law is written today. The legislature did say that, we've got time to make changes. because these things don't get implemented until July 1 at the earliest of '27. So this '26 legislative session, '27 session, they may make changes. If those changes actually get made and they alter this, I don't know if that's going to be good or bad. But as of today, I think you could plow forward, issue the bonds. You'll have property tax backup, which will be your best security. You'll have a model that shows you should be able to fund it with income tax, but again, you're at the mercy of the legislature as well. The only alternative to that would be to wait 2 years, which you guys don't want to do after all the amount of time that you've been waiting, to see what actually falls out of that. So based on the way it's written today, I think you've got a live model that gets you everything you want, and gets you on a track where you can go ahead and issue the bonds. If at any point in time your income tax is insufficient to make the payments, you have two choices. You cut back your budget to make sure you make that payment without putting it on the property tax rolls, or you fund your budget because you have to, and you let a little bit of the cost of the jail go back onto the property tax rolls. But that will be something that you can address as a fiscal body year to year to prevent that from happening, or let it happen because of some other unforeseen circumstance. Or if you're building this pool of cash to try and call these early, you could always go access that cash and make the payment to get you through what might be a short period. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So
I know
this,
that's a lot.
what you've got here doesn't take into account also the money we would receive from selling the old jail property, is that right?
It does not.
Okay, so that would
And
be,
the funding model that I gave you all last time, I think I had a sources and uses kind of laid out to you. There's your par amount of the bonds we would anticipate would be $27.5 million. You've got $4 million in cash. Total costs or sources would be $31.5 million. And that breaks down to the jail construction, contingency, soft costs, water, sewer, ingress and egress off of that site, all the financing costs. We did assume insuring the bonds. I would assume because of your rating, and we talked last time about rating, you're in the course of an audit. So as soon as that audit's done, that's something that we would need to provide to the rating agency if we're going to try and get a rating after January 1 of '26. Before January 1 of '26, we could use the existing audit, but there are some notes in the existing audit. I think it would be better to wait for the '24 and try and send that forward to get rated. But theoretically, I would assume you rate at maybe an A or an A+. We can buy bond insurance at approximately that cost, which would give you a AA rating, which would give you about the best interest rate that you'll be able to buy and get on the market. Something of this size, the cost and the length of the amortization, every 10 basis points is probably $300,000 of interest. So going through those steps of bond rating, buying the bond insurance to buy down the interest rate will be your best strategy for the long period and the cheapest financing.
so what would be the timeline of like buying the insurance? And I mean, how soon would we
What
need
we
to make
talked about last time was if they can get the design and everything of that to bid at the beginning of the year, and whenever you guys tell us to go forward, if you're going to go forward, we'll have bond counsel create a timeline. But hopefully we would have everything in place. The insurance gets bought after we get the bond rating and right before we resize this to make sure that it's not too big, and then sell the bonds. So this would probably be early spring, late winter, February-ish maybe. And again, what we typically do is when all those prices come in, if this is a little bit too big, then we size it down and we only sell the amount of bonds that you need. If it's short, that's a problem. So then you either have to find more cash, cut down the project, cut some sort of expense out of it. But again, you do have some things in here. You've got contingency of about 441,000 in that water sewer ingress egress. I've got in at 3 million, not knowing what it is at this point. So I assume there are some push and pull things you could potentially do there to get the project cost. And again, when we talked about, these will be lease rental bonds. So we have to have all the cash in place at the time we close on the bonds and you give the go-ahead. Because all the bond proceeds, your cash, is all going to a bank trustee who will administer the payout of this project to make sure everything gets paid as it's supposed to get this project to fruition and finish.
So, 2025 is listed on here. And there's a partial total. So, if something were to happen by the end of the year and we'd have to start making payments, it's pro rata by the month? Is that why that number's lower, or would it be a
No, I'm
full year in advance?
anticipating you will not make any payments until 26.
Okay, that answers your
And,
question, Sheila,
yeah.
on the years, because it was 21 years if we counted 25,
Yeah.
so. Okay.
So the payment also, because it will be backed with property tax bonds, will correspond with the property tax cycle. So it'll be the middle of 26, end of 26, based on June distribution, December distribution, even though you're using income tax, just so that mechanically it's already structured to time out that way if you ever have to use the property tax.
And it would be paid twice a year then in
Twice a
that
year.
respect? And there's no option to pay monthly?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, when we do municipal bonds like this, they'll expect them to be twice a year and to correspond to those underlying security dates.
Semi-annual
Yeah.
payments.
So this 1.4 million allocated for jail project and debt service for 2025, I mean, that would just be added to our
Cash.
cash, 4
Which it
million?
is.
Yeah.
4 million.
Correct, yeah, and the million on the jail lit is part of the 4 million I'm assuming you'll
Yep.
push to the project.
The good news there is that the 300 then that we didn't spend in '24 and the 300 we're not going to spend in '25, because that's why I asked that question. There's 600 right there. Plus in '26 we kept the 300 in the budget. So there's 900,000, or let's say $1 million, that's available there that's going to cover that '26 payment right there where it says public safety lit. So that's paid for. And then the jail lit is covered because we already know that. So we're golden for '26 for that total amount. Come '27 though, that's going to be our most challenging year in this whole thing. Would you agree?
Yes.
Because we don't have the extra 600 that we had banked from the budget that we didn't use. We're going to have to come up with about $700,000 there. But maybe the good thing, that's where the use of the sale of the property could make up the difference.
Yeah.
Because by then, surely, either '26, late '26 or '27, depending on the timing, we might have that cash that can make up the difference in '27.
Good.
So we're not having to cut out of some other budget or find cash somewhere else to cover that payment.
Yes.
That's
And
my concern there.
Did you get a 25
We did.
supplemental lit distribution?
We did.
How big was it?
It was sizable, yeah.
Okay.
We spent half of it already,
So-
but,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Those weren't worked into 26 or 27.
And we may get those.
So again, yeah, if you continue to have collections like you had growth of 26's certification over 25, you'll get supplemental lit distributions. What I don't know, and in this entire model, nothing that's built in is when are we going to get our next recession? How long is it and how severe is it? Because now we're relying on income tax heavily for this.
Right.
And it will fluctuate when we hit that next recession.
And then when 28 hits, that's when we're talking lit restructure, and there's some extra capacity, and that's where the discussion about local units of government came in.
Yes.
And I'll just reiterate for the public record that I want to make sure that we do communicate and collaborate with all other local units of government sooner rather than later.
Right.
To tell them what's coming and what we're thinking and what it may mean. And, we want to give them a chance to plan and think, and maybe they have some thoughts. And you talked about revenue sharing perhaps and those kind of things. I think it's important we have these discussions sooner rather than later and do our due diligence there.
Does someone want to reach out to the town officials and
I can
different
reach out to the
entities, and then
town.
we
Does
could kind
someone
of-
else want to join me in that effort? So,
And then
yeah.
we could kind of set a date where we could kind of discuss with them all of this, and, possibly if you, could attend, I mean, something like that, would be,
And it just can be a preliminary discussion to say,
Right.
here's what's going on. We can show them the chart, talk about the lit restructuring. But I also want to make sure that we give, or the council consider, giving Jeff a little mini project here to maybe crunch those numbers for us. So we know, based on what they're already spending and what the lit will happen, how do we make sure that, what makes them whole, what doesn't, is there any gap, how close are we
Okay.
with that? And then maybe you can draw up a proposal for that, or an estimation of time.
It's not that much, and I'll just add it into what we're doing.
Okay, well, there
We're
you
holding
go.
that time.
okay.
Yeah, it's more of a getting to it than it is actually
Okay.
doing the math. So in that regard, do you want me to look at 25, so what they're getting today, and making them whole based on today?
Yeah, we
Do you
know
wanna-
what their
do you wanna
budget,
do-
what their,
Or do you want me to do 26? 26 has been put out by the DLGF, but that doesn't, they haven't worked it into their budgets yet.
true,
And,
yeah.
I mean, when we're discussing that, I mean, we do know that they're getting a windfall from our public safety tax, so, I would like to know what they need.
Well, maybe we should talk with them first then, and then we'll get back with you on
Okay.
the obligation part.
And yeah, the thoughts about that, give me the parameters of 25 versus 26 to replace it. Whether you're going to look at replacing the school or not. Because again, the legislation doesn't anticipate that schools are going to share in lit after 2027, which I'm assuming got addressed in their school funding formula legislatively. But I don't know that for sure because I do not have any school clients.
Well, and I think the only thing that I was going by, and thinking about that lit and the school, was that there is a separate, is it .2, that's also available to use for all other units. Is that correct, in the new lit structure? There was .4 for fire and EMS,
Yeah, but
1.2 municipality, 1.2 county, but wasn't there another choice that covered?
you can do, for other units of government, you can do a maximum of .05 per unit type.
Per unit type, that's where the
So,
library came into play.
Township,
and the
library,
townships. Okay.
solid waste district.
Okay,
And again, you'd probably have to ask your attorney whether unit type, or ask the DLGF whether that includes a school.
okay,
Because I do not think a school is a unit.
okay.
Exactly. However, the revenue sharing thing that we did talk about last time does have some language. Now, did you ever get that printed off? No, there it is. It was section 142 of the legislation. And it does say a county, city, town, or non-municipal civil taxing unit may distribute any part of its certified shares general purpose revenue to any governmental entity located in any part of its county. And it can be for a joint purpose or for the purposes of the other governmental entity. So I thought it said other unit receiving, but it says governmental entity. So maybe you can share it with the school? but I would kind of need guidance as to whether you want to replace that or not, because their distribution in 2025 is about $413,000. So it's a fairly sizable amount.
Well, we need to talk with them. So,
But they get a
see what the
majority,
plan is.
yeah, they get a majority of our property taxes,
Right. Right.
so,
And then give me guidance as to, I assume you want to stay at 2.5% and just
Well,
maximize
I'm not
that
necessarily
to
saying
cover
we
as
do
much.
that, but what I'm saying is if they're relying on that already as a revenue source, and we know property tax went down because they took the biggest hit, then from a financial standpoint, again, speaking from the school, they're short somewhere in this, and so,
Depends on the school funding formula.
yeah.
Because
but-
that's their main revenue driver, and it's based on pupils
Right.
and student count.
So that's just why, we just want to ask that question, I think, is, and if they don't need it, which, is kind of a
When-
foolish
yeah,
question, right?
right.
Because they're gonna say, well, of course we need
Yeah.
that. But let's just say it's not as priority or whatever, then yeah, we don't necessarily have to worry about it. But I just foresee, something coming out of that discussion. We'll see.
Okay.
See.
so
Yeah,
what,
just advise me whenever.
Yeah.
for this to, for the commissioners to be able to move forward and all of this, what do we need? What do you need from us at this meeting?
Depends on whether you want to go forward, and I don't know, you guys probably talk about the timing of where we at in order to keep this project on schedule. How quickly do they need to act in order to have that bid out on the big schedule that you were looking at in
Best if it
the early
was-
part of the year?
It would be best if it was tonight. I don't know if that's possible, but the sooner the better, because we're not doing anything until we know what we're supposed to be, working on exactly.
And it'll take you potentially from now till the end of the year to get
Now,
that
we're
ready to bid?
slated, we would like to be finished by the 1st of December. And so it can be estimated, to make sure we're on budget.
Okay. So how long could they wait or work through these other issues before it's too late to meet the bid date you guys want to look at?
2 weeks.
Is that possible to do all your background, reconvene and give a go-ahead or a
Yeah.
pause?
Let's qualify that for them, Jeff.
Say again?
Let's qualify that for them. What we're suggesting is that the absolute cheapest time to bid these projects out is January. Once we miss January, we go to February, it's a little more expensive. Once you hit March, it goes up 5, 6, 8%. So that's, we can do it anytime they want, but that's the risk we're taking.
So what do we, in order to stay with that timeline, January,
They need to be able to design right now. The issue is they don't have fees to go to the full designer authorization.
If you, like Dan said, if a couple weeks, if you could get something determined by then, that's kind of really like the drop dead timeline. The fewer weeks we have we're already, really pushing the schedule
But on
much faster than normal.
mm-hmm.
On our end, we'll be doing this either way. I don't think that'll get in the way of them go ahead and get into a bid, correct?
Well, they don't have any money to get it to bid, right?
Yeah, we don't have money for his design fees.
Say again?
We don't have money for his design fees right now.
Do
so,
you guys want to?
so I guess my question is, what do you need from us right now for us to stay on that timeline?
I would say game plan to make a decision in 2 weeks, or cut loose money for design fees to continue.
Yeah, if we're just needing to allocate some money for the service, a specific service here for planning, then we could just do that.
Right.
It's not funding the project.
It's not funding the
It's not
project,
committing to,
but yeah, if we get to the point where, it's not gonna be funded, or,
Right.
it's not gonna be that project, then that's sunk cost, yeah.
true, True.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we're at the point now that
Yeah, I don't know if there's
commissioners and
much.
the sheriff, they've got their plan, and we just need to find out what the fees are to get that going.
Yeah.
So what's the dollar amount for tonight, I guess is what we figure out.
If we shrink the size of the job, when would we need to do that?
Well, that's really where we would start from. I mean, we're gonna try to start with the size we think the project, that budget-wise it will work.
So if I may make a suggestion, I think the direct answers Polly's question correctly. We've got two or three things going on here, one. But let me suggest to you that once you produce this design, it has shelf life. Doesn't matter whether you build it this year, next year, or the year after. The design can stand itself. But if you want to try to make this year's schedule and see where it ends up, understanding that you have the ultimate authority in 60, 90, 120 days to move forward or not, you could authorize $1 million towards design, and that would cover 80 or 90% of their design fee regardless. And have that design covered, and then authorize moving forward with the rest of the jail project. Once we have the design down, we can put the final budget to it. That is an alternative. But it's the holdup to give them the authorization to move forward, that their fees are going to be covered to do the design that's holding us up right now. Is that fair, Gun?
Yeah, we're in the same situation we was in 2021, we had a meeting upstairs. We went to design bid and they cut it. We're in the same situation. We need to allocate, if you have money for that, and there is money to allocate for them to go ahead to design. They can do the design, but when it's all said and done, we can't afford the whole entire project, then we have to make the cutbacks.
So we just need to,
And there can be modifications to a design if there need to be, so,
but
yeah.
they need the money.
Sure.
In order for us, we want to stay on the schedule to produce RFP and stuff like that, but for this team here, or here, especially for Elevatos, we're in the same boat we was in 2021.
and we want to avoid that.
No, we do, we want to.
Yeah, I'd like to stay on track for
Yeah.
this.
If I may,
Yes.
by clarification,
Yeah.
Polly? I'm sorry.
No.
But my understanding is the commissioners issued the resolution last week to go to DOT. So that is going to slow us down potentially a little bit, but nonetheless, I think we can overcome that. So what needs to happen is design needs to start where they're going through the RFP process. They select the build, operate, transfer team, who at that point will then start to integrate with Elevatos to monitor the design, monitor the budget, help hone that into where everybody's comfortable, with right now the goal of being able to have everything totally evaluated by the time the holidays are over. We're entering the first week of January, to where we can bid this project for the second or third week of January. The DOT team will actually bid the project, at which time the final budget will come in, the GMP would be presented to be approved, and then you're all done. That's the way we see it. Now, and I think that that's the point, Jeff, you would finalize the bond amount based upon what the final budget is. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
we just can't go up.
just can't go up.
Right.
Right. So we're all saying right now, if everybody's anticipating no more than 31.5 million, which is I think what we agreed to last meeting, that it may go down a little bit based upon what we're able to do to consolidate the scope and everything. Wouldn't be more than that. But they need the authorization to move forward with that design so we can keep the process going. And their proposed fee at last meeting was 5.5% of the construction costs. The construction costs weren't 31.5 million, weren't they around 20?
25 and a half.
25, so,
This would be about 1.3, almost 1.4 million.
so Anton, you got your calculator. 5.5% of 20,
1,375,000.
25, 40.
Is
1.41.
1,340,625.
yeah. And so the council needs to appropriate that towards their design fees, even though we may not use it all. We may decide halfway through the design, the project's not gonna be quite that much. Nonetheless, that's what they need a surety for to be able to start their design. Thank you.
And again, you already have the money in the correctional facility lit fund, so if you appropriate that and spend it, it's still part of this same equation. the expense would go down as with the cash contributed.
Yeah, so we're, yeah, either way you're gonna pay it.
Right,
It's when and how, but
correct.
Well, and I think one of the things we needed RFPs, we wanted to get quotes, we need to know where we stand. We can't do that with an imaginary piece of paper.
Exactly. So we've got to get this moving.
I'd like to
forward
make a
now.
motion that we fund the design to, I don't know what the dollar figure is, that was, maybe it's 5% of the construction
I would
cost.
say not to exceed $1,350,000.
I'll second that.
So is that?
Yes, the amount that was said.
And what is that amount?
I need,
$1,340,625.
thank you.
Okay, motion made by Steve, seconded by Daniel. Any other discussion?
all right.
Do we
so-
want to, do
to
we need to
con-
say where it comes out? of?
Yes, that was my next question, is so we are going to have to take it from somewhere. But then how does that affect your chart? Because this, your chart assumes that we financed it, but we're not.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, it's on that sources and uses. So if you paid out $1 million, you would only contribute $3 million, but the cost down below of the uses would go down $1 million because you already paid. He's built into the soft cost in that
So the
one.
bottom line is still gonna be the same.
Bottom line's still the same,
As
you're just
far as
potentially
the payment of the
refunding.
project.
Yeah,
But it would go down because you're not financing $1 million.
yeah, it's on this one.
Okay.
You've got 4 million here, you have soft costs of $1,990,000 in the uses. So if this goes down 3 million, this would only be 990,000 because you will have already paid it with your cash up front.
Yeah, so whatever our
So you're
down
good.
pay, which was 4,
Yes.
it doesn't matter how you pay it.
Yeah, because
you
you
can
will
pay
have
them $1
3
million
million
up front,
expenditure.
you can do the this or that, it's still, that's your pay, you're contributing that, you're not financing it.
Correct.
Okay. Got it, that makes
All
sense.
right, do we want to say, do we need to say in the motion where it comes from, or is that,
Yes.
Well, he read off the amount, and then Dan said 1.35, not to exceed 1.35, which is less than.
He was just rounding it up to
Yeah.
a simple
Yeah,
math.
Sheila's math is the one I count on.
Sheila's math?
It's kind of like Common Core.
okay, so do we want to include in the motion where these funds are coming from?
I can
We'll
add
have to
to my
advertise.
motion,
Advertising.
Right.
No. yeah, I can add to my motion that it's coming from the, Correctional
Jail
facility
correctional
limit.
facility.
Then I'll still keep second.
All right. Are we ready for a vote? All those in favor? Motion carried.
That's scary.
And
That is
aren't we
scary, isn't it?
fortunate to have cash on hand?
Yeah.
I mean, really.
It worked. The
There's-
conversations we had 5 years ago all worked.
I know, that, we'd be in tough shape if we didn't have that now.
Appropriation for your October 14th meeting.
Now it's farther than it's ever been.
True. All right, and then we're gonna communicate with other units in the meantime and get that, when we
Right.
get back with Jeff.
Yes.
What other action item do we need to make a decision on tonight?
Anybody need anything else for going forward? At some point, we want to get bond counsel involved to develop the timeline. If we're spending that money toward design, are we at a point where I can have, and the bond counsel you've been working with for the last 5 years has been Rick Hall from Barnes and Thornburg, and that's who I vetted the model through. Are you at a point where you want me to have him develop a timeline that meets their bid schedule? So you'll know what action needs to occur between now and then.
I would think that would
Get all
be
the bonds
important
done.
to have sooner than later as well.
Move that to motion. I make a
Yeah.
motion that we allow Jeff to go ahead, proceed dealing with the bond council, so he gets us a time frame on how this is going to work out.
Motion made by Nick,
I'll second that.
seconded by Daniel. Any questions on that? All those in favor? Motion carried. Okay.
All righty, that's good.
Anything further for me?
I think
Drawings
that-
done yet?
I think that's good. Thank you so much for coming, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Consider a little higher amount in case something comes along that we're not expecting, mostly because the last additional appropriation meeting we can do is in November. So if something else comes up above that 1.3,
So remember, they're drawing. So Dan, question for you. You mentioned that we're authorizing up to the full percentage for this part of the project, but they're gonna draw from that. It's not gonna be a full upfront need the cash now.
Correct.
So as far as our appropriation, and it's only for this year anyway, we may have to restate the appropriation for next year's cash, and they may only draw X amount between now and December, but not the full 1.3. So we'll be fine
Okay.
in terms of cash.
and we can encumber what is not used because we'll already have.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Yeah.
Good. Is there anything else we want to talk about the jail project review, or are we ready to move on?
Jeff, before you go, again, one more time, and I know that we're so limited here on this financing stuff, but, so there is no way to negotiate. You mentioned 10 years, then there was an 8. Is there any way to negotiate when we're developing this bond package and we're putting that out there, that, either a shorter period to potentially pay a little towards it, or paying it quarterly instead of semi-annually, those kind of things? Is there any negotiation with
Won't
that
be any
stuff?
option for quarterly. It'll have to be the semi-annual,
Okay.
and again, to correspond with the property taxes, the security. Between the 8 and the 10, we'll discuss that with the underwriters.
Okay,
And, for quite a while, we have not been getting dinged if we want to do an 8-year call. But just recently, the underwriters have said they're starting to put a premium on if you
Okay.
want to call less than 10 years. And again, if the call period, if it's 10 basis points and it's $300,000, we want to do a 10-year call rather than an 8, because I don't think you can save enough money
yeah.
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
that.
Well, you know what we're thinking.
Yeah.
And as you develop things and discuss with the bond council, just whatever
Yeah, we will get it as
Creative
we possibly can.
choices.
There's not much creative, but, yeah, we will keep that in
The
mind.
audit report.
Pardon?
Do I send you the audit report? The
Yeah.
that project,
Oh, great. When will it be public?
probably following week, depending on when we get an exit conference going.
Yeah, don't send me anything preliminary, but once it's public, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I want to put this out here to clarify for the public. I mean, when we talk about property tax security, it does not mean that property taxes are going up. So I just want to clarify that.
Yes. We're using income tax as our source. We're not increasing the income tax rate that is
Right.
currently in place. And we are trying to figure out the best details and how they plug in to make all of that work. We've got a draft in front of us, and it's reasonable. There's still some loose ends that need to be tied up, but that's our plan.
And when I say property tax, I mean the property tax rate, this has nothing to do with the jail project. So I just want to reiterate that. Okay, let's move on to the HR position.
A quick update, I'm meeting with Annie from WIS on Thursday at 10:30. And she's gonna break down the cost of what it's gonna be for everything we need as a county, and also the cost of what it's gonna be to update policies and procedures.
Okay, great.
Great.
Two separate things, meet with her Thursday, she'll get us an update, and as soon as I get that, I'll forward it to you. It shouldn't take too long, she said.
Okay,
Good, and also Sam, on that policies and procedures part, or the policy part, at least in my opinion, I don't know what the council think, but that's not necessarily a wait till 26 thing. If that's something that can
The
be
sooner the
started
better.
sooner rather than later, we could appropriate or do something now.
Once she gets that broke down, tells us exactly what that is, and I'll get with the county attorney or all of our attorneys, same attorney, and get his thoughts on it as well too, because they're gonna have to work hand in hand on that, so. But
Good.
I would like, like Anton said, I'd like to get that started almost immediately, because our policies, we gotta get squared away.
I
That's
agree.
happening on Thursday.
Sounds good, thank you, Sam. Moving on to new business, soil and water.
Thank you. I had last week sent to Sheila packets containing the information that you had asked me regarding our rental loan that we currently have. Do you have copies of that? If not, I have copies for you.
Put it in a packet.
Everyone seems all
It's in the
right?
packet, okay.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank you again for this opportunity to come before you. I know there's 2 line items in question that I would like you to consider for us. I understand that the other one I'd asked for regarding contract labor, it was decided at this time that that perhaps would not be the most appropriate thing. I understand that. Thank you for the time for me to express that. I realize that in our current political climate, we're still going through transition and growing pains, so things are a little bit uncertain. And the same is with soil and water. The 2 items in question that I'm wanting funded, utilities, $3,000. That comes to $250 a month for heat, gas, and water. And then also the $2,000 for the liability insurance, which is for the house. As I had shared with you in the past, and going really far in the past, it has, Soil and Water has been funding or paying for those accounts from our CWI money that we receive once a year, Clean Water Indiana, which is part of the smoking tax that's granted to all the districts. That's not guaranteed. That money fluctuates. Since I've been here, I'm not even here 3 years yet. I started out $10,000, I believe, maybe $12,000, I apologize. And then last year it was 20, and the year before, 20,000. Talking with the powers that be, who, with the State Department of Agriculture, that's not a guarantee. I mean, I may be lucky to get 5,000. That being said, those monies also are really traditionally supposed to be used for programming. We're supposed to give back to the community. We were allowed to use it for operational costs, which is what we have done, a portion of it. Going forward, I'm trying to prepare. I do understand that our rental contract is going to mature and will be paid off. I gave you a copy of that big last long form, December 1st, 2026. So we will be losing that. So I'm trying to think of a way to find that money elsewhere. I don't want to lose programming money. If for some reason this 5,000, I know I feel kind of ridiculous a little bit, following someone who's talking about multi-million dollars, and I'm here saying 5,000. This will make a difference for us. We're a small entity, we're a small municipality of Owen County. This will make a difference. If for some reason we're not able to get that funding this year, I will share with you, I will probably have to cut some of my programs, and that's unfortunate. Hopefully I won't have to, but let me know, is there anything here that you need, that you have questions on? Because I tried to give you as much information as I could on the, it's a commercial land loan. Did I provide you what you needed?
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense then? Okay. Yes, sir.
It appears that if nothing else is done, 26 is going to be the final year of the loan anyway.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So the question then becomes, does that, you just go ahead and pay it off and be done with it now? Or not, if you're still going to have this amount, you're so close.
Yes, exactly.
So there's that discussion, and is there any avenue or resources within other soil and water sources that can just pay that off or be done with that?
Exactly, I understand that. I'll tell you what, as I was reviewing the accounts at this time, because for 2025, we were given $20,000. I could utilize a portion of that to pay off our commercial loan. That being said, that's going to leave a hole of what, around 40, well, yeah, what did I say the figure was?
It's 4121.
$4,229.29 is why I show the balances.
And, you know, if we were to keep utilities and the liability, that's 5,000. So it's kind of a net increase, but it's not.
Exactly,
it's-
exactly.
You save a little bit in interest, whatever's left there.
Well, and that's what I'm
you know.
hoping for, because right now I do have the money to pay this off. Next year, I may not.
Right.
And again, and we're not even guaranteed to get 5,000. I mean, again, we're in the same boat that you're in, the climate, until things start stabilizing, which is going on a year. You might like to think that political climate would, but things are being changed. And so for your consideration, that's what I'm proposing.
Pay off your.
Yeah, I would go ahead and pay that off. And then going forward in 2026, we would have that 5,000 to help cover what we would lose, because that line item, once I pay it off, we're going to lose rental.
Because you know utilities and the insurance aren't going away.
No, they're not.
So,
Absolutely not.
And that'd give you a little more certainty.
Yeah, and I feel like I've done very well regarding utilities in particular. I mean, insurance is what it is, but keep in mind, it's a 1910 river house. The windows are 1910 windows. We have plastic on the windows trying to control the heat and electricity. Again, only $250 a month. I don't know anyone who has utilities that low. I am in the process of applying for our OEI grant. That's kind of an environment energy grant to replace the windows, because that's what it's for, and it's for municipalities. It's an Indiana grant, and that would be huge, you know, because it's drafty. Anyone who's been to the River House, there's always air blowing through, so we really need to control that. And then I'm also looking at sources as far as solar. I think that we'd be a really nice place to have solar power. Right now, I'm looking. I will confess, it's a pipe dream. I don't know where, but the OEI I am applying for.
Tammy, I have
Yes,
a
sir.
question. Who owns the house
We own the house.
or the building that you're?
We own the building. We own the property. I mean, we do
Soil
have a
and
commercial.
water does?
Yes, it's soil and water. All that land that my path is on. How many acres is that, sir?
I think 17.
Okay, so, and then plus we have the 44 acres of the Hancock School Forest that was donated back in 1956, and that's actually a demonstration forest that we allow DNR to utilize, and that's off of Hancock School Road. Yeah, the maintenance of the property and everything, and my path actually has like an easement across the river portion of that from us, so it's kind of a partnership.
I know you have a number of people that use the MyPath.
Yes, that's correct.
Had you ever thought about charging a per diem of any sort? Or some kind of a cost, or some kind of donation, or
Okay,
anything?
people, regarding my path, it is my path, it belongs to my path. Anything that, they do get donations, they have friends of my path. I apologize, I talk softly, I apologize. All that money does go to my path. They're in charge of maintaining the maintenance of their trail. So they have their own costs and expenses. Now, Kyle Hannon, who is the coordinator of my path, he does have an office up in the attic of the River House. They do pay $100 a month for that. But as far as us charging people to use my path, no, that won't happen. I mean, I don't think that's appropriate, and plus, I could not make that decision because it's not my decision to make. It's my path, it's Community Foundation. We allow them to have the path on the property. We don't own my path.
You own the property, though.
We own the property, but we don't own my path. We have an agreement. They have an easement.
Like the
It's
county's
all
been
legal.
paying the rent payment, or the lease payment, or the mortgage payment, right?
On the house, not on my path.
No, I mean
These are
on the
different
loan.
parcels. Yes,
But the
on
county doesn't own it. soil and water.
Now, let me
Here,
clarify.
let me have him,
That's-
because I'm still
that's the
young.
clarification I'm
Steve,
not
yeah, let
understanding.
me have him clarify, because I'm young.
There's confusion here. We had a director a couple of years ago come in and talk about the budget and suggest that we needed budget for the mortgage on the house. That's not what we're talking about at all.
The big one.
We rent office space to the county. It's a rental fee for the soil and water staffing.
Yeah, because we're required to provide a place, is that correct?
Yes.
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Well, I appreciate that, because I was
Yeah.
completely out in left field. I thought it was ours and we'd making payments. So actually, you're renting off of my path. Is that right?
No, the MyPath
They get at least.
agreement is something else. So,
Okay.
We didn't, Soil and Water didn't come up with the money to pay for the property there. The Community Foundation funded the property purchase so that we could install MyPath for the community. It's a community asset. We happen to be, the property was deeded to us because they thought we would be good stewards of the property, and we're trying to do that part. We're trying to maintain it. We've planted thousands of trees. We've done a number of improvements on both properties and plan to continue to do the same.
Well, if this is paid off, who gets the money? You're asking for a building to be paid for from the
No,
county?
No, no,
No.
no. No, no,
They're gonna pay off their loan.
yeah.
That has nothing to do with us, other than we're gonna pick up utilities and liability insurance.
In their budget, I mean, is that payment for their loan, is that included in their budget? I don't have that in front of me.
Yeah, it has been, and it's gonna be zeroed, because they're gonna pay it off.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then we'll pick up the
So even though
utilities and
it's
insurance.
a loan, it was treated as rent.
Yeah, because prior to 2000, at some point, they were renting a place. They didn't have a purchase of a property. They were renting, there were a couple different places over the years.
Well, the county
And the county paid for the rent, so the county, instead of paying for rent, paid for the
Yes, exactly.
loan payment.
And
And,
it's still it's still rent, though.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar in terms of budgeting. But they're gonna pay the last year off. We don't need to put the 4121 in their budget. But the utilities and liability insurance are, and that essentially cancels that out. So instead of them going up about $5,000, they're gonna be about close to even as far as their budget's concerned. That's what we're
On your
after.
grant that usually pays for your utilities now, you're absolutely certain it's not gonna be renewed?
We are not absolutely.
Oh, no,
certain.
we don't know what's gonna happen. I'm one of these people that I like preparing just in case, and just in my short
So I mean,
period
there's
of
a
time.
possibility that will.
Yeah, there is a
you know,
possibility. I mean, you,
Polly, let me interject something if I may. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
The money we get from the state is intended to go toward programming for conservation programs. That's what it's intended for.
yes.
We don't want to use that to pay the electricity bill. We want to pay for programming that helps the people in the county improve conservation practices.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and it's a great way to reshuffle and have a little more clarity in where things go. And that way too, because I know you're very passionate about the contract services and additional programming and things that go with that, that will let them decide their priorities, and they're not relying on us
Yes.
to determine whether someone comes in so many hours or so many hours plus. It might be a cleaner way to split this out, and I think it is. But yeah, I think it's a much better budget because of the reshuffle.
worked out good for both of us.
Correct. So as it stands now, is the council okay with zeroing that line item then? And keeping the utilities and the liability insurance?
So with that, it would be, I mean, if their loan balance is $4,229.29 and the $5,000, it would just her budget would just be going up, what, 775?
Yeah, plus the longevity for her position, so, but it's,
But that's all.
yeah, it's
in
minimal.
there.
So it's 73,526 is what I'm coming up with. for
With
the
her,
total.
okay.
And I would like to clarify, we currently do not have a line item for utilities and for liability insurance. I know they exist, but that's why I'm asking for.
Yeah,
that
it's
we
in
open those
there.
up. Okay.
It's listed, yeah.
Do we need to take action on this tonight then?
If this is a consensus, then Sheila will update her numbers.
So
I don't
we
think
need a
there's a
motion with that.
Well, I'll make a motion then that we zero line 33900, and then we maintain 3,000 in line 34500 utilities and 2,000 in 37600 insurance.
Second,
Motion made by Anton, seconded by Burl. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
So actually, you're saying we're
All
getting
those opposed?
a reduction
Okay.
on her budget?
Well, I mean, it's a little more, but it's not what it was. It's about a $1,300 increase overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, keep an eye on your line item balances at the end of the year, if there's anything that can be encumbered from that bill, because you already have an existing bill or payment that you could bring stuff forward. You have a few good balances here, so.
Thank you.
Budgets?
Okay, yeah.
You want to mention our meeting on wages?
Oh, yes.
They got us.
Anton and I have a Zoom meeting with WIS on Wednesday to discuss some of the questions that everyone had for them. So hopefully we'll get some answers and we'll be able to report back.
The only certain thing we have, the only certain thing we know on wages since our last meeting was the assessor did respond to me. If you remember, we currently don't have a chief deputy on the books, so to say, but he does intend to appoint Suzanne as his chief deputy. And I also was able to have him confirm where all their level certifications are, because he has 3 employees and they're not all the same, and what the timeline is. He also gave the estimation of what they'll have as of January of '26. So I haven't had a chance today to do anything with it, but I intend to go into the wages then and update that. And then we'll have the numbers we need to finish reassessment and the regular assessor's budget.
Great.
So that'll be finished next. There really wasn't much of anything else to really follow up on, other than I will bring this up because it came through social media, and you may have saw that, is someone had asked about the Humane Society, and of course there's the whole rural transit thing as well. We used to have a community services grant program that limited a certain amount of money available for those type of groups to qualify for or apply for. And I forget what the amount was, 50,000 or something like that. It was out of our edit fund. We've not funded it for several years, and I'm not saying we do or don't, but I'm throwing it out there for you all to think about, is now that we do have a little bit of wiggle room in our edit fund and we have some ability to potentially put that back in there, is that something the majority of the council would want to look into? And again, it was a formal committee-based structure that limited our dollar amount to community organizations, because as you can imagine, if you don't have a limit, then every organization is going to come and want money. So the point was creating a formal structure where those folks apply, and we have a limit of how much we would have to give out to those organizations. And right now we don't have that. We don't give any special amount to some of these nonprofits. So how do we want to entertain maybe looking back at getting that back, or do we want to continue not doing that?
I've had public input, and it was a negative input. But we had set aside, I think it was $36,000
Yeah.
a year, and we drew from that. And some of the public just want to know, why are you giving our tax dollars away?
Yeah, it's a fair
And
question.
I said, okay, you're against it? And they said, absolutely. I said, okay. I mean, I'm here to represent the public, it came to my court.
Yeah, from my personal experience, there's several nonprofits that provide a extremely important service to the community that don't receive any sort of backing whatsoever. And Humane Society is utilized heavy from our county services, particularly Sheriff's Department. And there's others out there that, $36,000 split 30 ways would make a huge difference to a lot of nonprofits.
Well, I know for a long time,
Yeah.
Humane Shelter, is a big component to the county, because they help in ways a lot of people don't know.
And they don't have to.
The rural transit,
Yeah.
there is a ton of people in Owen County that depend on rural transit to get back and forth to their needs. And I know that was something that was, I don't know how long it's been since that money's been allocated, but I know personally, I have big feelings for both of them, that those two are huge for Owen County.
Yeah, that, for someone to say, why is, taxpayer money being used for a community service that is open to everyone, that's what we're here for, in my opinion, is to be the stewards of their money.
At the same time, though, if you're gonna give away $36,000 with our roads in the shape they are, is that something you really wanna do? And you know me, Joe, I'm all about giving.
Well, it would be, you
I
can't
mean-
use the edit funds for the road construction.
I would like,
You can.
I mean,
You can. Sure you can.
But it stands for Economic Development Income Tax. right?
And again, the name is a misnomer, it's just income tax. But the point of having a program when we had it was because we can't have every meeting a new group coming in front of us wanting money, which is what would happen.
Right.
And so we came up with a limit and a program to handle that. Now, we don't do that currently. And if someone were to come up, I mean, I'll be honest, if someone were to come here tonight and say, well, we've got a great cause and we need $5,000, I would have to vote no, because we can't, we just don't, we're not an unlimited resource that can give to every organization just on the fly. There's got to be a formal structure to it if that's going to be reinstated, and an application for funds, and stating the need and all that. And we had a committee of community people that sifted through that and scored that and made recommendations for how much went to each group. But the question is, does the council want to consider putting that back in place?
I would
or
like to
no?
have a little bit more time to think about that and to ask, my constituents and just kind of see,
So
why-
explore it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
I think in light of the $4 million that the highway department wants, we have to save everything we can. We donate to the Humane Society. I'm real softy there, but I do agree that once you go down that path, we've got everybody in here, just everybody. So, and we have to, looking at the jail budget, we've got to be really good about everything. And we have to go back to our number one and main priorities of law and order and safety and emergency services.
Public safety's got to be number one.
Yeah.
So, but that's my thought. I just like to kind of touch base with the public and see what
Yeah.
their thoughts are.
Yeah, I think as much as we'd like to help everybody with
Right.
where we're at right now, we kind of got to watch what we're doing.
So is there anything else on the budget workshop review that we need to
I think the
discuss?
numbers look pretty good
I gave you
overall.
copies tonight of this, and there was a cover sheet on it. Obviously, it just changed with the
Right.
soil and water. This is an ever-changing document until it is approved, and again,
Do we
October
need to-
14th is your public hearing, and October 27th is your adoption. So this could change anytime, clear up until the 27th. You have to, again, we need to, I think we did it the last one, but I think it's good to reaffirm that we have permission for me and whoever to make the changes as they come through. You're gonna be still looking at other numbers, you're got the assessor's numbers that are gonna change on this before your next meeting and those kinds, so I just want you to, it is a changing document as we go.
So do we need to make a motion to allow you to do, I mean, you know, you and whoever?
So do
Or
we,
does that
and
need
how
to-
do we get that back to us for final approval? You know, I mean, I guess we don't have that many open-ended things anyway, other than wage stuff, but we would have to do that at our October meeting if that's, if there are changes there. If we end up having a little extra capacity for additional compensation adjustments, do we want to do that in October? Or should we actually try to get that hammered out earlier? Because Sheila's would need to have some time before our October meeting. And I'm just throwing this out as an example here, hypothetical. Is, let's say we've got enough funding to go, instead of the low point, we do 10%. You know, we do go to that kind of 20% to the midpoint or whatever. And that would, you know, let's say that cost another $150,000 or something. If that's something the council wants to do we want to make that decision before October so that Sheila has a chance to work on those numbers? You know, like have a meeting or something?
Like with 1.5% COLA.
Not COLA, I'm saying, you know, go closer to the
Closer
midpoint,
to the
you know.
midpoint.
When the only thing is I'm looking at the bottom line here at almost $26 million.
And that has the
Yeah.
4 in it for the roads
Yeah,
though, that's kind
I
of
know,
a
but it's still what,
placeholder.
last year's was 21,
Right.
so,
It's not bad, believe it or not. And so I didn't know if, you know, if the council wants to entertain an adjustment on anything further, on going further than we already have on wages, what I'm saying is we probably should have some kind of a meeting in between now and our October meeting, because Sheila, there's just no way she's gonna be able to do that quickly.
Well, and you have to make a motion to take that next step too. So I
Right.
couldn't do, you know, that would mean we'd come into the 14th, you guys would relook at this and say, okay, we're gonna go here. And I wouldn't, there's no way to put those numbers in that night, so.
We
unless
kind of
you
want to have
another meeting.
some way of basically firming that up at whatever that meeting is, so that we then know what the numbers. And you said October meeting,
October 14th, it's a Tuesday, because Monday's a holiday.
so.
And I couldn't get it in the paper, and you guys have the AIC conference the last week of October, so you guys couldn't meet
Last week
then,
of September, right?
or September. So you're either looking at the first week
There is,
of October.
there's that September, the week of the 22nd. Is that too early?
can we get it
Gotta
advertised?
get it in the paper.
Yeah, that would be the
If they
concern.
can have it to the paper by this Friday, they could put it in on the 17th, and that would be enough time for the 23rd.
For the 23rd? Okay.
So do we want to set a tentative meeting for the 23rd?
Yeah, if we
Or
need it or
discuss-
want it,
yeah, I mean,
you know,
just
we
to
can at least
have
get it advertised.
Just in case we need it for budget purposes.
How many days is that on?
It's a Tuesday,
It's a Monday, the 23rd.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
September is a Tuesday.
So,
Twenty-third is a Tuesday.
Yeah,
I couldn't,
so you want to have it on a Tuesday?
I keep glad to start
I-
on Tuesday.
it doesn't matter to me. Do we want Monday or Tuesday?
Monday's better.
Do we want the 22nd? Can we do the 22nd? Will we have enough time?
Yeah.
As long as there's enough time to advertise it.
Yeah. Do you want to do Monday, the 22nd then?
6 o'clock,
6 o'clock?
if needed.
Do we need to make a motion on that?
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we advertise a
Special meeting.
special meeting where we can actually take action on things for purposes of the budget on Monday, September 22nd at 6 o'clock.
Motion made by Anton, seconded by Daniel. All those in favor?
So this
Carried.
basically will be we'll be talking about wages? Is that what you're
Just
saying?
budget.
The budget.
Budget, and
Just
that
budget.
includes the wage, any wage adjustments we want to make. Because Polly and I, in our meeting here, we may find some things we need to change or fix or do something
Yeah.
with. And so we need to be able to make that decision before our October meeting. And we can come back then on the 22nd and say, here's what we found out, X, Y, Z. Or our financial position is stronger than we thought. Do we want to consider going further overall on wages and then recalibrating that with Sheila? So,
And that was about a few of those positions that had larger job descriptions than what they were getting paid, I think.
there's about
The building
10 or 12, yeah,
department,
the building
yeah.
department was one of them, EMS. There were about 12 action items on wages that we're
Exempt
following up
status
on.
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Exempt, excluded.
And you said Dan had seconded that?
Yeah.
Sheila's big fat raise, I remember all that.
Right, right.
All right.
So we need to vote on that?
Oh, yeah. Well, no.
Or did we?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, we voted.
All right, it's Dan.
Okay, let's move on to department transfers and additional appropriation requests.
First one you have up is the sheriff's fund. It is a transfer, it's not additional appropriation, it's in the same fund, just different series. One is for the sheriff for $1,500. Then you had the transfer for the IDOC wages, which is a normal process, again, in different line item numbers. Then you had the transfer for the clerk, who, again, that $175,000 that was discussed at the last meeting, she gave you a breakdown of which funds that they needed to go to. And then you also have the one from the court for $450 to transfer for the interpreter.
Now, they've all been advertised, you.
No.
No, these are all
That's the word.
transfers, they don't have to be advertised, just,
Okay.
The clerk would be an appropriation though, right? Because we
No.
would need to, no?
because the cash is already in your
Our,
Oh, yeah, that's right, the
1,061
line item.
fund. So
That makes
it's
that
just
easy.
transferring from line item
Okay,
to her
good.
fund.
That's
We need board action.
even better.
You need a motion to approve the transfers.
I make a motion that we approve these transfers as Jim mentioned.
I'll second that.
motion made by Nick, seconded by Anton. All those in favor? Motion carried.
That also leaves you right around $50,000 in that line item
Okay.
that.
There could be another
is still-
emergent need or something at the end of the year. Okay.
All right, commissioners review, update and requests.
Chris, Jack, come up real quick. As you all know, we've been going through, I'll carry Sept, so, the whole hands around. As you all know, we've been going through,
Man.
yeah, thank you. Been quite a roller coaster ride down dispatch for the last 2 years. It's been tough. We've had some meetings and stuff and discussed a few things, but things are not a whole lot better. But we do have a plan that we'd like to present to you. We do have a lady down there, I can't remember nobody's name, that is Alyssa is the kind of acting supervisor, trying to keep things rolling in place. We've had a dispatcher quit because of the schedule change, and we just had some ongoing issues because the fact of it is we have, I want to say this right, and you guys correct me, that we don't have a 911 director on hand. And we're advertising for a 911 director, and I believe the end of the application date is September 15th. How many have we got?
None.
Okay, none. So Jack and Chris, when we was at our 911 board meeting, and Dale Walker, we all met, and Jack come up with a real good idea. There's a gentleman by the name of Dave Costin. And I'm gonna stop right there, but what our goal is, Dave had just retired, and he's willing to come on board to help facilitate training, educating these dispatchers, and also overseeing, don't stop me if I get wrong, overseeing, interviewing potential 911 directors. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna let Jack and Chris fill in. They know this guy a whole lot more than me, then I'll come up back with the cost on this.
Chris and I have known Dave Costin for close to 20 years probably. He was just a pillar in the task force, 7 district task force he put together. Any communication question, 911 question, Dave was always right there, communication plans, I mean, anything that had anything to do with dispatch, he was the guy. He remained to be the guy for the next 20 years. He became the chief dispatcher in Putnam County in 1985, which led into the director of 911 position. So he's basically been the 911 director in Putnam County since 1985. I don't think you could ask him one question about 911 dispatch, past, present, or future, that he couldn't answer. He is absolutely brilliant in his field. He's a kind, patient person that would really be able to help the dispatchers through training and like that. Now, he is not going to come down here and be the 911 director. He is here as a consultant to help with 3 things. The training program, which is nearly non-existent, and there's 24-hour training required by each dispatcher every year annually. Some of them are not getting it. That's a liability problem. So the training, he is willing to help us through the interview process and weighing in on who he thinks might be a good director, provided we get some applicants. You guys caught that, right? 0. We have nobody willing to do that job for the pay. They've been without a director for I don't know how long down there. Really.
Right after the first year, we lost our last, we lost the one, and then we put in another one in March that really never got her feet under her. So they've been a good while without.
2024, basically, they didn't have a director.
We're direct, to be honest with you, we're down at 911, we're in trouble. We're in serious trouble.
Sam called a roller coaster ride. It's not running anymore, it's stuck in the bottom. It's a mess. It's the backbone of our emergency services.
Absolutely.
Most important thing we got going on.
Absolutely.
And the backbone, the very first person you're going to talk to when you call 911, it's broken. Dave Costin is just a Band-Aid to help us get what we're not getting right now. And
What, is he gonna donate his time or what?
No.
It did a lot of.
He said he was a great guy.
It took a ton of talking. We're so invested in this guy. I mean, we're so certain about this guy. Took a ton of talking from Jack to get him to. He just retired July 4th.
his Independence Day, he said.
Oh, I think he helped.
If we just moved the director's salary, would that work for him? The salary we're not paying? Just to come down and do the consulting, just what we're
Sam will
talking
take care of that here in a minute. Sam's got the number it's gonna take to get him here. I talked to him about it at his retirement party. He said, we're a bad way. Would you come help us? He said, absolutely not. So I'm retiring, that's it. I'm sorry you're having trouble, but I'm ready to retire. And I called him, I said, I know the answer is gonna be no, but the 911 board and the president and commissioners want me to call and ask you again if you would help us out. We're really in a bind.
I'd say one of the 911 people works there, if they was trained right, and they felt they would be more qualified too. It would help the whole bunch if he was helped out.
He's gonna get us through a bad spot. We need a director. We need somebody to run that facility.
A good director.
And yes, and with that being said, I know Dave Little, and don't knock what these 2 guys do, but we're in a real bad spot. And I know you guys are looking at the weight study and stuff like that. We're getting no applicants. for what it's paying. Now, we're gonna be in a situation, Dave's gonna, hope if you approve what we're going to ask, to come down and facilitate some things like Dave, Jack said, it's just a Band-Aid. Now, he's willing to extend his stay at a cost. But that's not to be the 911 director. But he did say in his email to Jack, and I think he wouldn't hold to his word, he's willing to come down and work to right at Christmas.
Done by Christmas was his exact
Done by
words.
Christmas. Of course, this has been 3 weeks, well, I got
2 or 3 weeks since we,
I got the email right here. Let me put my glasses on because I can't see nothing about it. I pretend that I can.
Can we hold it over here?
Yeah, hold it way back over there. He's willing to come down here to work anywhere between 16 and 24 hours a week. Needs to be done, he thinks he could be done by Christmas, $25,000. He also says, if this needs to be extended, I got the glasses right here, don't worry. If this needs to be extended into 2026, another $25,000 for 3 months. It's a lot of money. But if we don't do something pretty quick, we're already in trouble. We've got quitting. There's some other issues going on that I'm gonna have to go deal with ourselves. We can't. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. We're in trouble.
Is Matt Miller on board with it too?
He's on vacation, but Matt is kindly said he's done.
Because he's taxed out.
Well,
Chris
he's
is
got
taxed
duties
out.
to handle for the sheriff, and it may come to it, I don't know, council, that you may have to look at the wage on that, Chris, I don't know.
Did he, the 25,000, would that be just, like as a W-9 employee, or would that be more of a contract?
It'd be a contract through the commissioners. Yeah. But that's where we're at right now, and I mean, Jack could probably call him tomorrow and say, hey, get us.
How can we do that right and done?
It's a contract, so yeah, you can set whatever you want and stuff. I would want to see a copy of the contract and the proposal to examine that. But you could do that. Jack, what was the third item? You said there were 3 things, right? What was the third? Oh, okay, you had 2. Training was one of them, job interview search. Was there a third?
mentor the new director.
Okay, got it.
If we hire one.
If one, yeah, if that comes. forward.
And I'd like for
Yes.
the council, that's an issue. I know everybody needs more money, I understand, everybody does. But, when you grease one wheel, then sometimes you have to grease another one too. I know it's a domino effect, Chris is in the same position, so, I'd like for you to look at that as well.
Did the wage study show what the midpoint was for a 911 director?
That is, yes, it did. Let's go to that here.
And Dave's perfectly content sitting on the couch.
Yeah, he don't.
He doesn't care if it comes or not.
When I called to tell him that the commissioners approved it the other day, I said, Dave, I got some bad news for you. They approved. So I said, now we gotta go before the county council. And he understands how all that works, but
We ought to have quite a bit of money in the 911 budget since we've not had a director
You haven't had
for.
an assistant, you haven't had a director, you haven't had.
You have $20,557 left in there because you did a $20,000 appropriation because you're spending it on overtime for all of the ones that are trying to keep up and keep it going.
what about the assistant director?
Do we have-
And that's blank.
That would,
Yeah.
How many dispatchers short are we right now,
As of
not counting the director?
There should be
Two.
a fund still there, or there should be some sort of.
right, that was what you said today, 2 dispatchers short right
Two
now.
dispatchers.
She just started short.
So, Verl, well, we answered your question. Joe, you asked, right, on pay? So right now, the base pay for that is $62,535. That is a little more than the low point, actually. Low point is 60,069. Midpoint is 66,745. So,
Just some rough math, $25,000 for 14 weeks, at 24 hours a week, is looking about $74 an hour.
we'll look at that midpoint. But yeah, I do not agree that it's all a pay issue. I mean, part of it is, just like everything else in our system.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But we also have the unique situation where this has been going downhill for the last year and a half. Who would want to work here and do that and be subject to what the past people have gone through, better or worse? I'm not saying that who deserved what, but the politics of it and the back and forth and it just being run into the ground has done no one any favors, and that has nothing to do with pay, in my opinion. I think we do need some kind of a reset or fresh start. And if you can create or recreate an environment, a positive environment for people to work in, and have the leadership and have someone working on the training and get that jump started, then surely you will have more interest then. To me, it's not paying outside of the norm for this type of position. And if we did have to increase it, as you alluded to, I've got a gentleman right here that does an outstanding job in his role and deserves a lot more than that we would need to adjust. And we would need to adjust the highway superintendent and all the other positions in the system that comes at a cost. It's not just here's $5,000 more, problem solved. It becomes a $100,000 cost or $150,000. So that's just the concern that I would have in terms of pay. But on the contract, though, I'd want to see a contract. I'd want to see it spelled out specifically. What is this person doing? When are they going to do it? And what's the milestone or completion points that satisfy the contract? And if you have a draft or something you can provide, that would be great, because I think we need to take a look at that. Had there been any thought as far as any other individuals or other parties or other groups or companies or other people besides this gentleman that you reached out to or considered or can do this kind of work? Or is it kind of just a very unique, this is it type of thing?
I want to make a suggestion. I mean, or get a viewpoint of me. I think if we had him on a contract for 3 months, we don't have to pay PERF and all the taxes and all that, which makes a big difference. And I think that Chris and Jack both has been around enough for emergencies to know whether he can handle it or not. And I think that it sounds like that he's the type of person that the county needs at this point in time. And I don't think that it would hurt us a bit for 3 months to try him out and see how it works out and see how maybe he can tell us what's not been done right and line things out. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to make a motion that try him for 3 months.
Earl's made a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Steve. Any more discussion on this? Any other questions?
Something would be great would be if he came on board and we had someone that was willing to take that position and he could actually work with them for this 90 days or something. I think it would really establish that individual. Unless we got somebody that had been in a 911 position for some years and knew exactly what they was doing and everything that was going on. We really have a dilemma down there, people. And this department is a key department in the county. I believe we're trying to hire a professional person for peanuts. Now, somebody might disagree, and I'll probably get phone calls tonight, but I think this job ought to pay a lot more than that. best I can understand, there's a lot of responsibility. And there was one of the directors that told me that when there was somebody out, they had to cover all those positions. So now it's come over to Chris, huh?
He just got off an ambulance. He's on one all the time. Goes from his house, runs on the weekends.
And Dave also, you know, this kind of surprised me, you know, because I know Dave's retired, he likes to retire, but he said if this needs to be extended into 2026 for another 3 months, it's another $25,000. That's a fairly decent commitment from a guy that just retired on July 4th. To say that, you know, okay, I'm gonna be here till Christmas to get this done, and we'll get that itemized out in the contract. But then he may be willing to stay over, you know, because time we get the contract, stuff like that, you know, gonna be a couple days, then get back to you guys.
It sounds like he's only doing it because these guys called him the.
He's only doing it because these two guys sitting right there,
Called him in
and Jack
favor.
called him, that's it. He's not doing it because he has to, he don't need the money, he
Dire
loves it.
straits.
He's doing it because,
But I believe if we don't have an individual hard that he can mentor, and it make a difference that they draw from his knowing.
he may be the person that's the missing key to the whole puzzle, and look at stuff and say, let's do this, or this. I don't know, but he'll give feedback to us to what he thinks.
But we do not have a director right now.
We haven't had a director.
Almost a year. We had a part-time director for a little bit, but we haven't had consistent.
It is
direction.
extremely critical that dispatch gets right, because the difference between Deer Run Lane and Deer Run Road is about 12 miles.
Deer Run Drive?
Or Deer Run Drive, yeah. Because if you take off in the fire truck this way and it runs that way, it takes a lot to turn around.
There's just so much liability there.
But, and the thing that's happening is, I'm gonna say, I'm not good with choosing the right words, but
Yeah.
with all that's been going on and what's happened in the past, so much animosity, it's kind of gotten to the point nobody's listening to nobody. Because they simply don't have
There's no leadership
direction.
there.
They don't have leadership. So.
That's exactly right.
You know, this $25,000, yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's a chip in the bucket if this guy can come in and do something for us.
Madam Chair, I call for the vote.
All right. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, 6-1.
And I'll say, just for the record, I'm not opposed to the concept. This is the first time this has been brought up. There's no paperwork, no contract draft. We're throwing a lot of money at contract services, and it doesn't matter whether it's the jail or this. I just would have loved to have had a chance to really sift through that.
And
But
normally I would agree with you,
And,
but
not everything works according to
No.
ABC plan.
I just think this is kind
No, I
of an
agree.
emergency
We
situation.
had to skip,
So,
I respect the vote. I don't have a
Yeah,
problem with
yeah.
that. I'm just saying, for my own vote, I would have preferred, and that's just my
I
opinion.
understand,
Okay?
yeah.
Yeah.
Anton, I would like to say something. I'm not getting after you at all, but I
Yeah.
think I should make a comment about, one of the directors cried that it was really mistreatment. That is terrible, and there wasn't anything in that email that was truthful.
Ah,
Not one thing. So people wasn't as hard on her as she claimed. And another thing, I agree with you, it's not all money.
Yeah.
I've said for a while, you can't hire passion.
It does take,
Right,
it does,
right.
yeah,
You
sometimes
need
takes.
somebody that's passionate
Yeah.
for that center, but there's still something wrong. If you were to advertise for highway superintendent tomorrow, I can almost guarantee you, somebody applied. And nobody's applying for this.
Yeah,
So
it is true, yeah.
it's, you know,
It's complicated,
It is complicated. And you're right, this guy here,
yeah.
he deserves a raise. Best
Yeah.
county employee we
I
got.
agree.
But,
I really, I
Not about
hope
that.
it
Let's work
works,
on the-
please,
Yeah.
right? I totally agree, I get it. I just want to make sure
You wanna know
that,
what you're getting.
I know, yeah, I just want to make sure before I commit to something, just like I would anything else.
And
That's
the
all.
whole reason I voted
Yeah.
on it is
Yeah.
because I trust the three of you.
Yeah, I do too.
I know that you wouldn't be up here blowing smoke up a butt.
But this is just one piece. We
Yeah,
need
I
that
know.
other piece. Like Nick
They gotta
said,
figure that out.
we need that director here while Dave Costin's here to help get them going.
Sheila, did you?
Yeah, as much as we'd like to see a job description or whatever, yeah.
Because he's not
We
coming
gotta
in to
have
be
it
the
for-
director,
Right.
you know?
No.
We'd still like a copy though, by the way, when that
Yeah.
gets
Right.
executed. We're still gonna need that copy of that contract.
I need permission to transfer some money into that line item.
We need about 5,000 out of it.
Yeah, and you've got,
Let's talk.
there's money in part-time, there's 10,000 left, there's enough to transfer into it.
We just need to make a motion to allow you to transfer those monies. So is there a motion? Somebody want to make a motion? Hello?
I didn't hear all of it.
And as far
To
as
transfer
Dave
money.
Costin goes, yes, he is one of the best.
So Daniel's made the motion to allow Sheila to transfer. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Anton. All those in favor?
What was this?
Oh, we're allowing Sheila to transfer the money into the contract service.
We already nickel on money.
Well, Jack will make the phone call tomorrow, we'll get a contract here.
He's probably watching.
You're gonna deliver the bad news to him, right?
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, salary ordinance confirmation summaries.
I make a motion, we have the president sign them.
Thanks, Jim.
Motion made by Anton. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Daniel. All those in favor? Motion carried. Okay. All right, elected officials and department head comments. Anybody?
Thanks for everything, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Started, Sam.
We're a lot farther on the jail than we were, ever been,
Yeah.
Yeah.
than we've ever been.
We're on move now.
Anton,
Yes.
your question on other names, other people, there was some names floated at that 911 meeting
Okay.
and dismissed because of various history.
As long as there were other people looked at,
That
yeah.
wasn't the first person that we landed on, that was,
Okay.
we arrived at that one after, actually it was the next day when he called him back. So we had discussed other folks, including existing, previous, and we just seemed like the best move at the end of the day.
Appreciate you following up on that question.
Okay. All right, is there any public comment?
Yeah, there were, yeah.
Sheila, you have any comments? Huh? Council?
I do have,
Wait a minute, just a minute.
yep. I have two things. One is, as we talked about paying off the 911 loan. We owe $223,000 on it. It's a $101,000 budget item. We've got plenty of cash. I am going to make a motion that we have the auditor contact the bank and work on getting that paid off and do the appropriate advertisement for the balance. And what that'll do then is we can then eliminate that from the line item from the budget. That frees up $100,000 because we're gonna have to shift money over from the other fund to cover expenses.
We've got plenty of
Plenty of
cash
cash.
to do that.
Is interest affected at all?
We'll save a little bit of money on interest for the next 2 years or whatever that we don't have to pay, but
It's a 5-year
Did you
loan.
second that, Daniel?
it's 8-year loan.
Okay, motion made by Anton, second by Daniel. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion carried.
And then the only other thing was just informative. In your emails, you were sent, we talked last year about overhauling or updating our abatement structure. If you remember, we had some deficiencies there. And there was a proposal from a firm that deals with that stuff. Review that. I don't know if we want to make sure that's on our agenda. I don't know if that company needs to come to our October meeting or if we have questions or not, but I'll let the president figure that out.
Okay.
But we do want to make sure that that gets looked at
Okay.
at some point, so.
All right. Is there anything further? Okay, Nick.
I make a motion.
Thank you. Oh, my.
Could you put the mic on?